I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, February the 7th, brought to you in part by VitaFirm. Nutritional supplements purposefully crafted to maximize energy and forage utilization at every stage of your cattle's production by making sure your herd is receiving optimal digestive health and nutrition. For more information, go to vitafirm.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma. The offerings are tight in the southern plains. Not many cattle left around to sell, but they've got 4,000 head on offer here on Tuesday. A lot of new customers coming in there, realizing what they can get for their cattle, especially the yearlings. Talked to Jeff Slatton's going to have a lot of yearlings and a lot of calf weight yearlings. They're going to be in a thin condition. If a guy wanted to get some, if he had a place to turn some out, maybe later. But I tell you what, he's going to have maybe 300 or 400 just calf deals, smaller calf deals, but a lot of yearling deals. A lot of those lighter weight yearlings. He'll have a few 800 and 900 pound yearlings there, of course, like he always does, and then just a handful of cows. But check out Beaver County Stockyards on dvauction.com. Tight supplies, spur demand. It's amazing how that works. It's just how Dr. Colette told me when I was at West Texas A&M University. Supply and demand, that's what it is. And so we've cut down on the supplies just because we're running short of them on the feeder cattle. We've sold so many cattle earlier, which kind of kept this rally in the market from coming on any quicker than it did. But your feedlots just decided enough was enough. They were ready to see some 160, and they did get a little bit of 160, about 5,000 head up in the northern plains. But we have still not realized the 160 on a weighted average in 5-area feeding region. I think we're on the cusp of it. If we don't reach it this week, I believe we'll reach it next week. But tell you what, they just shut the cattle off, stuck their heels in the ground and wouldn't sell them, especially in the southern plains. We did not see significant trade, especially in the southern plains, until Friday evening of last week, whenever we started getting some 159, 158 in western Nebraska and Colorado, and some 159. And so we did see some trade, but this is the second time in 3 weeks that we saw your negotiated trade in your 5-area feeding region less than 50,000 head. As I told you, it hasn't been that long ago, about the time I got out of college in the mid-1990s, that we would see 500,000 head in your 5-area feeding region every week. And now we've gone all the way down to 50. That's why I was pushing Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act so hard. That's why NCBA and some of these other state affiliates like Texas Cattle Feeders Association and Kansas Livestock Association, they fought it. They rallied against it. They lobbied against it, fought it at every turn, got it stopped in the last Congress. But it's been reintroduced in this Congress. So, and a lot of them that are on my side that are pushing cattle price discovery and transparency that would put minimum requirements for negotiated trade in all of your major feeding areas. They've reintroduced that. They think it has a better shot this time than it did last. We haven't given up on it yet. We're not going to give up on the industry just because we're getting a fight, guys. But tell you what, that's why I've been talking about all this. We said that within just a few years, they did a Texas A&M study that we would get to net zero negotiated trade in Texas. Well, last week totaled up, even including the Friday evening, which is all they ever had. All they traded last week in Texas was 2,400 head of fats, and all those feedlots in Texas Panhandle, and including western Oklahoma, eastern New Mexico, and the Oklahoma Panhandle. If that's not ridiculous, and if you guys haven't had enough, I tell you what, these AMAs, these sweetheart deals, this formula trade is ruining this industry. Not just for the independent cattle feeders, it's ruining it for your backgrounders and for your cow-calf people especially. Now we're in a time of the cycle, and we're in a time where we've got record low numbers of beef cattle, and we're going to see some impressive prices here, guys. But you wait till this rally's over here in 2 to 3 years. It's going to get tough again, and by then we will likely be in zero trade in Texas, probably close to it in Kansas. Be very, very little price transparency or any kind of a price discovery at all. But I tell you what, guys, I've talked about it, and I've bitched about it and griped about it till I'm blue in the face. I'm not a power that be. I've got several people that listen to this report, and several people of you follow it regularly. But if you guys won't get your associations to go with you, I don't know how we're ever going to get anything done. Let's talk about your board to open the week. February live cattle futures up 55 cents at 160.82. April up 35 cents at 164.47. Your back months on live cattle up 17 to up 87 cents. Good start for the week. March feeder cattle up 160 at 187.70. April up $1.25 at 191.75. Your back months on feeder cattle up 75 cents to up 190. Talk about, and that 190 was on January of 24, the farthest out traded month. Talk about your grains. March corn was up 1.5 cents at 6.79. Beans were down 10 3/4 cents. It's just one way one day and the other way the next day with beans. Down 10 3/4 cents at 15.21 1/4 cents a bushel. Talk about your dismal trade in your 5-area feeding region on a negotiated basis. They only traded 49,300 head, and they were nearly all on Friday night, long after their business is normally done. But of the 49,300, 24,750 of them were in Iowa. That doesn't leave much for your other 4 regions, does it? Compare that 49.3 to 57.2 is what we had last week. 81,600 the same week a year ago. Talk about your live prices last week on fat steers and heifers, direct basis out of your 5-area negotiated. They ranged from 153 to 160. Most of them brought 159 that traded late Friday, but it was mostly dressed in the northern plains because the cattle are so muddy. But 12,300 head of your live sales were at 159. About 5,000 head at 160, like I mentioned, and then all that from 158 on down would have been cattle carrying significant tag. Your weighted average on live steers was 158.17. That was $2.92 better than the previous week, guys. So we did gain some significant ground. Your northern plains sold cattle from 153 to 160. Southern plains sold cattle from 158 to 159. So now the southern plains is really trading at a premium comparably, but that's $2 to $3 higher. Your dress sales were mostly all $250, and that was $2 higher. Dress sales ranged from $248 to $251 1/4, but almost all at $250. Your weighted average on dress steers in your 5-area was $249.88. That was up $2.16. And as I mentioned to you, your negotiated sales in Kansas last week all totaled was 6,200 head, and in Texas they were only 2,400 head. Well, guess what? Packers came out on Monday bidding 159 again and didn't find any takers. I told you guys, dig in as hard as you can. The harder you are to trade with, the better it's going to be for you. We've lost the art of negotiation, the art of haggling, and we've got to get it back somehow, guys. Nationwide, 64,500 head sold, including your outlying areas, compared to 77,200 last week, 98,200 same week a year ago. Of that 64,500, we only had about 8% of those, or 5,300, that sold for the 15 to 30 day delivery, so they're not getting any help there. We had 36,700 negotiated grid. Now, one thing I did notice that was out of the ordinary is forward contracts were up big. So that's another ploy from your Packers to go out there in the future just a little ways and give you the market that you want now. You're going to want a better market when we get there, guys. That would be like, contracting some 585-pound calf weight yearlings, all black as peas in a pod, perfect kind of cattle, and selling them forward contracting them for today's market in the 1st of April. That would not be the smartest thing to do, guys. If you sold them at auction, you're going to get a bigger price than what today's market is. But why would you sell them at today's market when you know they're going to want them worse? Formula trades 273,400 head. But wanted to give you the box beef cutout values. They were up, and up pretty significantly in normal kind of trading. We've been seeing a lot more volatility in it, but they were up quite a bit. Choice cuts 266.57 on Monday afternoon. That was up 183. Selects were up 211 at 253.72. Your slaughter, now also notice this was different. We normally sell from 124 to 126 on a typical Monday. Backed it off a little bit, only 120. That's not going to get them out of the short bot situation that they're in, but it is going to help them a little bit. Talk about what else is going on. The night latch group, whether you retain ownership on one pen per year or you feed thousands of them, your livestock gross margin policies that they kind of feature at Night Latch Group can be tailored to fix your operation, or to fit it. And so don't forget about that. You do have some options. You don't have to just solely rely on your CME futures or options there. You can get in on some of these policies that are helped out with USDA, and they can cover you pretty good if you know, if you get somebody that knows what they're doing. Check out nightlatch.net. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Monday, sitting at 182.45. That was up 93 cents compared to the end of last week. I'm coming to you from Uniontown, Alabama. We're going to be having a sale at Alabama Livestock Auction on Tuesday here. Of course, they have their regular auction on Tuesday, but they've got their board sale that we're going to be having video board sales now pretty much every month. And then when we get into the summer months, they'll have some really sizable ones. But got 14, 15 lots on there. A lot of them are multi-load lots on there for Tuesday. You're going to start that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can get on to dvauction.com. You can view the lots right now before the sale. You can check out the videos and check out the information on those cattle, and then get a hold of them, get approved to view and bid on the Alabama Livestock Auctions video board sale in-house with DV Auction on 1 o'clock here today on Tuesday. Now, Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri, they've been doing that for a few years here. And I tell you what, they're really getting a lot of cattle on there. They have one almost every single week. But this particular week, this Tuesday, here today, they're going to have 1,700 head on the in-house video at Ozarks Regional Stockyard. Be sure and get on, check those lots out, get called in, get approved to bid. Or get somebody on the phone. You can watch it online or bid over the phone, however you want to do it. But check out those two in-house video sales. How about your big sales to start the week out? Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 8,000 head. And get this trend, guys. Feeder steers $6 to $10 higher, with spots $14 higher. Feeder heifers $5 to $9 higher. Steer calves $13 to $20 higher. Heifer calves $9 to $14 higher. I don't think I have to say any more about the sale that they had in Oklahoma City, and that is our nation's feeder cattle market to start the week there on a Monday. Joplin Regional Stockyards had a bigger sale than Oklahoma City did, 9,100 head there. Feeders sold steady to $6 higher. Steer calves sold $5 to $14 higher. Similar trend there. The stickout sale I saw in Joplin was 72 steers, weighed 959 at 170, 150, and that is not close to a place where they feed cattle necessarily, guys, and they don't normally sell those big feeders that well. But really good sale they had in Joplin Regional Stockyards. Your Zoetis stickout sale of the day was Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota. Not the biggest run they've ever had, of course, but you know, supplies are light. Doesn't take a lot of cattle to draw a crowd. They look at these automated market reports and check out the best tested weights. 335 head of 6-weight steer calves in Aberdeen averaged 670. The weighted average price of 197.37. 335 head of 7-weight steers averaged 764. Weighted average price on all of them was 190.57. Look at your heifers. 154 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 639. Weighted average price 179.84. And 134 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 720. Weighted average price on them 175.18. Give you some individual quotes from around. How about Tri-State Livestock Auction in McCook, Nebraska? They sell 61 steers, weigh 840 pounds at $189.75. My goodness. Got to give a shout out to my buddy Ted Baum at Elgin Livestock Sales in Elgin, Nebraska. That's eastern Nebraska. He sold some fancy heifers, the Pelster heifers. They sold 4 replacement to stay local there. 85 heifers, average 670 pounds. They bring $2.18 a pound, guys, for replacement. But the most impressive feeder quote that I saw on Monday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Faith, South Dakota, at Faith Livestock Auction. It was 81 steer calves, weighed 607 pounds at $2.28 a pound. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.